About now, brown cow? Yeah, there we go. You leave for a day and you come back and your stuff just doesn't work. It's always technical difficulties. You guys know the game. So I'll get back into what I was talking about. So a lot of what what we're going to run down here in the beginning, we went over in the mastermind today. We do every Monday. We have a chat at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. It's called the Digital Asset Discussion, where we run down all the macro and where the markets are, and how things might work out, how you might want to position yourself, the things that I'm doing. Can't give you financial advice. This is probably a good time to throw the disclaimer in here right up front. I'm not a financial advisor. I don't give financial advice. This is for entertainment and educational purposes only. And if you decide to make decisions based on this content, I wouldn't advise that. I'm just some guy on the internet. I make crazy price predictions, and you should do your own research and speak with a financial advisor before making any financial decisions. If you need a financial advisor that's actually going to walk you through everything step by step and give you the full meal deal, looking at your portfolio, hedging risk, understanding long-term initiatives, you can go work with Digital Wealth Partners. They're an SEC registered RIA, and they will provide you financial advice on your crypto. We're the only firm in the world that does that. So that's digitalfamilyoffice.net, by the way, .net. Make sure you put the .net, not any other dot. It is digitalwealthpartners.net. So I know there's a lot of people out there that may be putting that in and coming up with a different solution. It's always .net. Make sure that that is what you're talking to. So on the macro, though, we have a lot of things playing out on the geopolitical front that we've been talking about that will lead to the inevitable spike in oil's price, which will cause the reverse carry trade to unwind at scale. That is my bet. That's what I'm going to continue to harp on. And XRP is the solution in that situation. We will see a significant rise in XRP when that all plays out in the very, very near future. We've got the third oil tanker that's been attempted to be seized there off the coast of Venezuela. And apparently this one involves Iran. Iran. So we know that I've been talking about for a long time that the Strait of Hormuz would be a choke point for how the world would see the spike in oil, right? And I think when they do close that, and again, this isn't me, this is Jim Rickards, is where I got this from. I believe he's the one that kind of helped US plan this. Thank you, my wonderful wife, with the tea in the Christmas mug. Oh yes, we will get the super chat. Oh, it's a bet with Stu. It's a different bet than the bet with scams. So back to the oil. I don't know if BRICS nations, China and Iran, will step in and help Venezuela in this situation, and that is what causes things to unfold there in the Middle East that caused the Strait of Hormuz to be closed. Maybe it's the Strait of Gibraltar. It could really be it's really got to be something out of the Middle East because that is where the majority of the oil that supports Japan's economy comes from. I don't really care that we're affected that greatly here in the US. And I don't think we will be. I think that, we have enough resources here. We could spin things up very quickly and probably be okay. It wouldn't, cause huge inflation on our economy. It would cause some, but it's not going to be anywhere near to the extent that it would for Japan because they don't have any domestic resources, or what they do have is very limited for energy outside of their reliance on, the Middle East for oil. So if that gets shut off for any reason, you will see a spike in the price of oil priced in yen, which is what I'm concerned about. It may spike globally, but I think the spike in yen will be the most dramatic, and then would cause the Bank of Japan to have to raise interest rates much more aggressively. And that's really the thesis. Once that unwinds, we'll have treasuries flood the market, US treasuries. Now that we have the OCC and the Genius Act and everybody on board for the US banks to be able to issue stable coins, they're going to buy up all of those treasuries that flood the market, which will stabilize the US dollar. Awesome. But it is going to impact other markets substantially. You still got silver on a tear. You've got gold at all-time highs. That makes sense with where the stock market is. The stock market is also at all-time highs, and PE ratios and Buffett indicator and everything says that we are way overpriced in the stock market in comparison to the actual cash flow for the businesses. If you were to buy the stock market right now in the past, let's say you bought it another time when PE ratio was 23 or 24, you would lose 2% on your investment over the next 10 years on average. So probably not the best time to be buying stocks, in my personal opinion. Again, I'm only talking about what I'm doing with my portfolio. Can't give you guys financial advice. If, what I'm seeing our advisors talk to people about is things that are on the lower end of the risk curve, or bond market, mutual funds, that type of stuff. When it comes to gold and silver, I do think that those are also going to have problems. And again, I'm going to be the antithesis of everybody else that talks about this stuff. They're all going to tell you it's going to $1 bazillion. I think that you're going to see a 50% haircut in both gold and silver. I think silver could run as high as $100, but I don't know that it's going to get much more than that, especially if we see a pullback in gold and a rotation into silver, which would be very normal for this type of cycle. On the high side, you would see, a 10 to 1 or 20 to 1 for gold to silver ratio. At $100 silver and a $2,000 gold, which is where I think it's headed, that would be a 20 to 1. So that's my 2 cents. I think the gold's headed back to 2,000 or 2,100. I think silver will probably follow that back to around 50 after its correction. And that would make sense. You normally tend to see a pullback, a sharp pullback, to touch the previous all-time high to retest that as support. I'm not a chart guy. I learned that from, Blockchain Backer. He's talked about that on lots of different videos. So that makes sense to me that silver would run up. We'd see a hard pullback to around $50 silver, and then you might continue to see, it slowly move back to the upside over time, unless we get a repricing, right? We got platinum at an all-time high. We've got, fiat currencies eroding at a breakneck speed. Everybody at this point has figured out probably don't want to be holding a whole lot of fiat currency with the way the world sits today. I don't think that the dollar is going to have anywhere near the problems that some people do. But obviously, Uncle Warren has repositioned himself over there in the yen and will be a liquidity provider when all this plays out. He'll be able to loan people the yen. They'll be able to pay back their loans, and then they will owe that loan to him instead of the Bank of Japan. The last couple things on my bingo card for 2025 for a 3 or 4 digit XRP. Again, this year, I think it's highly likely that we will see a 3-digit XRP if these 3 things play out. So we got the Epstein files. We haven't seen a narrative appear on mainstream media that they are tied to Bitcoin or Tether. Things are circling. He did invest in MIT. Maybe there's a there. We'll have to see how that plays out. So that was on the bingo card. Epstein files released in 2025. We got that one right. Still waiting on a spike in oil, and also still waiting on the Bank of Japan. Sorry, not the Bank of Japan. BlackRock to roll out their exchange traded product for XRP. I do think that they did file an A8 for their BlackRock ETF trust, BlackRock Trust ETF, not too long ago. I think that is what they are going to use as their XRP ETF. I think that BlackRock is much, much more involved in this transition than people really realize. And that's going to become apparent when all of this plays out and they do roll out this ETF. This person says, I'm in Caleb and Brown because I didn't know about you. Am I still safe? Caleb and Brown's great. They're great. There's a lot of good providers out there. I think we have a higher level of security than some of the other people on the market. and that's, there's a reason that BlackRock doesn't hold their stuff at Caleb and Brown. BlackRock holds their stuff at Anchorage, which is where we hold our clients' assets. So, different strokes for different folks. I'm not going to badmouth anybody. I came on here and said the differences, and people didn't like that. So I'm not going to talk about that. I'm just going to stick to what we do and how we're structured. So Anchorage is bankruptcy remote, insured, segregated custody. Again, there's reasons that BlackRock would hold their assets there for their ETFs. They moved there from Coinbase. And so, we provide that for our clients, their digital wealth partners. So if that sounds cool to you, if you've got at least 50,000 XRP and you want the same institutional grade custody that BlackRock uses, then you would partner with Digital Wealth Partners to be able to get access to that. Again, 50,000 XRP and your assets do have to be held in a corporation. An LLC is what we help most people set up, a trust, or inside of an IRA or individual retirement account. We do have the algorithmic trading strategy that we can put on top of your IRA. So if you want to fund an IRA with Digital Wealth Partners, we can do that. And if you want to migrate an IRA from another provider, going to stay away from names again because people get angry with me. So, if you want to work with us, we'd love to have a conversation with you. There's a lot of good providers out there. Like I say all the time, don't have to work with us. I just want people to have the education and understand how to be able to have these conversations with whoever your provider is and make sure that you're taken care of. Because that's what matters on the other side of price appreciation. The XRP community is about to come into so much money. And I still see so many people focused on the day-to-day price moves. Not that that's a bad thing. I went through that for a long period of time. You kind of become numb to that. And after you have had patience for a long time, you start to focus on the things that matter, which is the education around financial products, and making sure that you understand, how to position yourself and finding the right people to position yourself with before, God blesses us with all these fantastic things that are coming this holiday. So I would encourage you to start doing that if you haven't already done it. Obviously, again, Digital Ascension Group, we think that, I'm biased, right? I own it. But I think we have the best professionals in the US and globally to work with when it comes to your digital assets. But again, there's a lot of other great people out there. If you find somebody else that you trust and you like, and they, mesh well with you and your personality, work with them. We only ever want to add value. We're not trying to take business from anybody else. We just want to make sure that, everybody's successful on the other side of this. So that's why we're going to start it tonight. I do think that we're right here on the last 9 days of the year. It's going to be fun. There's another account, this is what everybody else does. They always point to me on the social media and say, Jake said, I'm going to do that tonight. And I'm going to say, there's another account over there on Twitter that said XRP and Christmas could be a really good mix. That wasn't the exact wording, but I retweeted it and said, I'm glad that this person and myself are on the same page. Apparently they have a 276 IQ, which is way smarter than I am. Last time I got my IQ checked, I was like 130, 131. I'm just smart enough. Just smart enough to be, where I'm at. I feel very blessed and again, very humbled. And again, none of this is possible without you guys. If you didn't want to come on here and hang out and ask fantastic questions and work with us, we wouldn't be able to create the products that we have and continue to bring solutions to market for you guys in a very meaningful way. At least I think it's a meaningful way, right? A lot of what we've built is selfish and but it's going to benefit everybody. I would rather build something that everybody gets to share in rather than, one of our core principles is to be selfishly selfish, selflessly selfish. So we always try to position it where the other person has to win for us to win. I don't like zero-sum games. I always want to figure out what the other person wants out of a transaction. And I'm like, if you could wave a magic wand and this would go perfect, what does that look like? And then obviously I have the way that I want things to go. And then we try to make sure that there's a compromise and we both get what we want out of the deal. I don't think most people operate that way. I think a lot of people sit on their side of the fence and want themselves to do well. They don't necessarily care if anybody else does well. I am not that way. I want to help. The whole point of the Beyond Broke Mastermind when we started it was to help 1 million people become financially free. That is the stated mission, and we will continue to execute on that. And up to this point, I think we have 16,000 people in the mastermind. We did stop the $2 trial, but I do think you get up like a $5 discount if you use the code Beyond Broke, all capitalized, the number 1, and then MO, like Mary Oscar. Get you the first month for like $20 in social, and I think $90 in Carbon One. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and jump into the questions. You guys always ask awesome questions. I do have one other super chat that I missed last time that I have to get to. My wife is always very diligent when people reach out to make sure that I get the questions. So this person says, hey, Big J, please explain your bet with Stu. Thanks. So I do have 2 bets by the end of the year. The bet with Stu, he's a duck Chainlink maxi over there on Twitter, which Chainlink's great. Like, I got no problems with Chainlink. I just don't think it's going to be used for settlement. Like CCIP, great. And actually that works really well with XRP to be able to port it to other chains in a non-tax event way. However, for settlement, it's kind of clunky. It's not what it's made for. And, you know, Chainlink is an enterprise oracle. It's obvious that it is going to be the behemoth in that area. It has more institutional and enterprise adoption than any other oracle out there. I think Flare is coming up quickly. Flare time series oracle is nipping at its heels. So anyway, back to Stu. He likes to come on my posts. And I think he's genuinely a good guy. I really do. People have biases and opinions. I'm cool with that. As long as it's a respectful debate, I'm game. If it degrades and somebody resorts to name calling, I just block people. I don't have time for it. But I always want to listen to other people's thoughts about how they came to conclusions, because it might change mine, right? So him and I had a respectful debate, an exchange back and forth, if you will. And in the end of it, you know, he said that XRP's market cap could never go to $100 trillion. And so, you know, obviously I put out the price predictions based on global macro events that would have to come out and happen, and said that XRP could reach $1,000, which would put it at $100 trillion market cap. And so, you know, he said, look, when you're wrong, you have to make a video and apologize to everybody on your channels. Cool. I am happy to do that. You know, if the time frame doesn't happen, I will. I'm not going anywhere. You guys will see me every Monday and Wednesday. I will never hear the end of it. I know that I won't. Whatever. That's fine. I'm pretty sure I'm going to win. Otherwise, I wouldn't make the bet. But, you know, that's one thing about me you'll find. If I'm wrong, I will say I'm wrong. I will own it. I do that with my employees. I do that with anybody, any of our partners. That's just what I believe, right? Like, if you are adamant about something and you stick to it, stick to your guns. And if you are wrong, just own it. If everybody makes mistakes, but at the end of the day, I think if you own it and then implement whatever changes you need to, you've done right. Now, people that make excuses or hem-haw or go back and forth, I'm not about that. There's a few things in my house that you're not allowed to do. You cannot say can't. You cannot say impossible. And excuses are forbidden. We just own our mistakes and we move on and we make sure that we get better. So anyway, back to the bet with Stu. He bet, $100 trillion market cap for XRP by the end of the year. So December 31st, same time frame as scams. and he wanted me to make a video apologizing, which I'm happily will do. If it doesn't play out, again, I'm pretty confident I'm going to win. So, but for him, he is anonymous on Twitter. And so I said, hey, look, when you lose, you also have to make a video with your face in it, telling everybody that you don't understand how market cap works. And he agreed. We shook hands, virtually there on Twitter, however you do that. And it's posted publicly. People can go back and look at the exchange and the conversation. And, it again, December 31st, come January 1st or 2nd, if we don't see, I'm again extremely confident in a 3-digit XRP this year. 4 digits might take just a little bit longer, but 3 digits, 99.99999, and we got 9 days here. So hang on to your shorts. That's all I can say. So anyway, that's the bet with Stu. And it does have to be $1,000 XRP for me to not make the video that says, I don't understand market cap and that I was wrong. I'm pretty sure I've talked about this before. So if you're new here, market cap makes a lot of sense in the stock market. All those stocks are traded all the time. They're always liquid. They're available for trade. In crypto, there's total supply, there's circulating supply, and then there's available supply. Okay? Total supply is how much of a token is minted. Some of them are capped. Like XRP, you'll only ever have 100 billion. It's less than that now because a little bit's burnt every single day. Bitcoin, 21 million, right? It's capped. Ethereum, Solana, some of these other ones, Solana may be capped also. Ethereum, they can print more of. I know that. And many others they can also. So in market cap here, it really comes down to the trading volume is going to be on available supply. So not even circulating supply, because there's still a portion of that that's locked up in escrow or in smart contracts or held somewhere else, held by ETFs or structured products. It's not available for trade on the market. Okay. So that's how you get to the total supply, not total supply of the asset, but the available total supply that can be traded. And that's how you're going to be able to get to market caps that are crazy, crazy high. Because like we'll give XRP as an example. There's 100 billion total market cap or total supply for XRP. If XRP is trading at $1,000 because there's a billion XRP available and there's $1 trillion worth of volume on the network, voila, you have $1,000 XRP. But because there's a total of 100 billion, it's now at $100 trillion market cap. And that's what people really don't comprehend. They're so used to looking at stocks and they want something analogous. And the inflows in stocks do require that amount of money to move into crypto, do move into the equity that's traded on the stock market. In crypto, there's, Zach Rector talks about this, which actually I think is a really good analogy. He talks about a multiplier, where, the available supply, let's say it's 1/100th of the total supply, you'd have 100x multiplier on the inflows that came into that amount for the total market cap, right? Some people don't get that. Stu doesn't get that, but he will find out when everything plays out here in the not too distant future. All right, on to the other fantastic questions that you guys have racked up tonight. We got Lone Star Legend. I love it, dude. Texas born and raised, wouldn't live anywhere else. The Biz World has Mr. Wonderful. We have Mr. Legend. I love Kevin. I don't think he's going to be right on the crypto deal, but he's been a prolific investor. I like his watches. I think he's cool. And he's straightforward. He's a straight shooter. You know where you sit with Kevin O'Leary. This person says, just here to send love, man. Sitting on the top of 3 to 4% holders and looking forward to seeing you in the Redneck Yacht Club after price appreciation. There's what's the Rednecks with Paychecks here in Texas. It's a giant mudding event that people go to. I've never been to that, but it is on the bucket list for post price appreciation. So Redneck Yacht Club, and then also rednecks with paychecks for the mudding event. And I will see you at both, my brother. Appreciate you, Braden. Merry Christmas to you and your family. John says, hey, Jake, do you think your input and information to this community contributes to the suppression? Maybe you have been more dangerous than you realize. Conviction and understanding suppresses timelines, my friend. Stay strong and yours. Merry Christmas to all who are true. I don't think I matter at all, John. How do I even say? I am a gnat. I do not matter. I am insignificant in all of this. And it doesn't matter what I say or do. Everything's going to play out just the way it's meant to. I am not an insider. I do not manipulate the price. I couldn't if I wanted to. Right? Again, with that large of a supply, it would be very difficult to manipulate the price of XRP. And that's the whole thing. So, there's a lot of people out there that are used to pump and dump meme coins, and they'll say things. There's nothing that I can say or do that is causing any holdup on anything. When it's time, the good Lord will make it happen. And again, a lot of blessings will be bestowed upon people that have been here. And the other thing that I would say, and the reason that I'm so drawn to this community and XRP, aside from the conviction and all the things, I've had so many conversations with just good people that want to do well for themselves and their family, but anything that flows over that cup, they want to give to others. They want to give back in philanthropic ways. They want to give back to their community. They want to fund projects that solve diseases. They want to build, showers for the homeless. Like all of these fantastic things that people come to these conversations with our advisors and myself, that are just like, they give you goosebumps. Because you can tell that is what God put them here to do. And this is what's going to give them the resources to be able to realize those dreams and walk in their highest path. So it's been incredible to meet so many just good people that are going to be able to do good things on the other side of this deal. But again, I don't have the switch. Like I can flip this switch. I can turn my light on and off. I don't have the XRP switch. That's somebody else. And again, there will be chaos. There will be a spike in oil. Markets will plummet, and never let a good crisis go to waste. XRP will be right there when we need it, and so will BlackRock when they roll out their ETF or their exchange traded product. Undisputed Godfather says, hey champ, is it true that Ripple has acquired a portion of BlackRock or vice versa? Also, has the escrow got something to do with the relationship? BlackRock does not own equity directly in Ripple, from what I am aware of. Citadel does, now that they've participated on the last round here at $250 per share at a $40 billion valuation. So does Fortress. Both of those two are behemoths in the financial world. It was interesting to me that BlackRock's offices were right across from Swell this year. They had people from Blackstone and BlackRock there speaking. I do think that the escrow is a much bigger deal than people realize. I don't know that BlackRock will be the one that ends up with the escrow in the end. I do believe that they have a significant portion of XRP for themselves to be a liquidity provider and participate in the ecosystem, probably get their clients some exposure, through their products to XRP and its appreciation. And also, the appreciation on the balance sheet will help them continue to provide liquidity and manage debt and poor or bad debt, right? Like that's their whole deal, is to repackage bad debt with good debt and avoid systemic losses like we saw in the Great Depression. That's what their, that's not what their stated mission is, but that's what I believe their mission is, to prop up markets and make sure we don't have a, global financial collapse. And if you needed a way to kick the can, until we had the technology and things were in a position to be able to implement this stuff, they've done it. I think, this person points out the BIS or the IMF. I do think that those are likely the lenders of last resort and who will end up with at least a portion of the escrow. I think the IMF is probably where a good chunk of that goes. No one company under the Clarity Act can hold more than 20% of a total token supply. And so again, we talked about the Clarity Act multiple times. I've been telling you guys, the whole year that it wouldn't pass this year. And there just so happened to be a government shutdown and the can was kicked, and I'm right, it got moved to 2026. Who would have thought? But so the way that Ripple and XRP and everything exists right now is in a Goldilocks period. Post approval or signing of that bill, they can't exist in the way that they do today, and there'll be additional competition, right? So that's the whole point I've been talking about. XRP will see price appreciation before the Clarity Act is passed. Now, is the Clarity Act passed in mid-January? Senator Loomis is stepping down. David Schwartz has moved on. I don't know how much clearer it could be for you guys that the mission is accomplished here. They're ready to move on to the next piece and phase. And you have people transitioning out of the roles that they've played over the past 5 and 10 years, setting all this stuff up. It's a foregone conclusion. This stuff's about to roll, and we're going to, get the clarity in 26, and then we're going to have the Cambrian explosion. We could have the Cambrian explosion before then, again, using all the catalysts that I've talked about ad nauseum. So buckle up. If you haven't watched the Domino Theory, I would encourage you to go watch it. It's going to give you the play-by-play of what's about to happen here. I'm going to butcher that name, so I'm not even going to attempt. Thank you for the super chat. They say Jake the Legend. Just call me Nor. Okay, they knew I was good. Nor, thank you. I appreciate that. I just want to say I will carry your message of helping others. Thank you, and greetings to the tea lady. Thank you, man. If you don't take anything else away from tonight, listen for just a little bit here. I don't know if you've ever been in line and been down on your luck, or been at a counter and couldn't pay for gas, or you didn't have your wallet, or there's been times in my life where I've had to ask for people, for change at the gas station. Give back to people, help people on the other side of this. You're going to be so blessed. Pass that along to other people. You're going to have an opportunity to change lives for your kids, your entire family, your entire community, everyone around you. Don't get taken advantage of, okay? Because there is going to be a lot of that. There's going to be a lot of people with their hand out. There's going to be people that show up. There's going to be people that try to sue you. Be smart about it. My rule, and it's always served me well, is I don't give people cash. If you need something, I will pay for it. The people that just want the cash tend to want drugs or alcohol. I'll even buy you the beer. Just tell me what you want, and I will go do that for you. I will pump the gas for you. I will get you some food if you need food. All those things, right? So, when people are down on their luck, when you see somebody else, if you can brighten somebody's day, if you're in line in front of somebody and you see a single mom with 3-4 kids, buy their meal. Like, on the other side of this, it's not going to be anything for you. It's going to be a penny. It's going to be a drop in the hat. And if you can give somebody that type of happiness, and hopefully they pass it along too, right? That's how the world gets to be a better place. So hopefully, you pass on the blessings that you have, bestow those on other people, and try to brighten lives. Because the world, a lot of the time, it sucks, right? Life sucks in a lot of ways. So if you can help other people smile or laugh or enjoy or be happy, do that on the other side of things. All right, I'll get off my soapbox here. We've got Almighty AC. They say, if I bought crypto while living in New York and I moved to Texas and become a permanent resident, do I still have to pay taxes? Because Texas don't have them. Texas doesn't have them. You're still going to pay federal taxes if you were to sell the crypto. State taxes are residency based. So as long as you don't stay in the state or claim residence there for more than a certain amount of time, you're not going to be subject to those state taxes. So if you move to Texas, come on down. We'll have you. We like people from New York too. Some people from New York. Most people from New York we like. Maybe you move to Austin. You get a good blend there in Austin. There's gonna be a lot of people that like you or don't like you. So yeah, I would, you don't have to worry about the state tax. You're still gonna have to pay federal income tax, or capital gains tax, whether it's short-term or long-term, if you do sell the assets or trade them. We already went over this one with the Undisputed Godfather. It's a good name. We got Wayne, my man. How are you, sir? He says, how can price action stay so stagnant for so long with nothing but good news every day? I would expect a slow grind up at least. So again, we've been over this many, many times here on the channel, but it's a good question. So I will kind of reiterate this. News for Ripple cannot be correlated to price. If anything, price needs to go down when there's good news from Ripple. And you might wonder, well, why? Other crypto companies, when they're announced stuff about Cardano's foundation or Charles Hoskinson or their partnership with this or that, the token skyrockets. That correlation right there means it's a security of that company or that individual or that counterparty. The whole point of the Ripple lawsuit was XRP is not a security of Ripple. So they use the supply that they have to suppress the market. And they sell onto the market into good news to hold the price down. Do I like that? No. Do I understand why? Yes. Is that going to matter when we see institutional adoption and there's a supply shock because they've escrowed half of it and then, done everything and laid the rails and negotiated everything behind the scenes and worked on, XRP's behalf because it benefits them if it goes significantly up in value also. I'm happy with that outcome and I'm okay to wait. I think the wait's over. I wouldn't come on here and continue to tell you guys if I didn't think it was. So sit back, relax, enjoy the time that you have with your family here at the end of the year. Things slow down a little bit. And again, I think there's going to be a lot of blessings here in the next week. We got 9 days left in the year. So, man, you guys on the super chats tonight, y'all are doing awesome. All the way up. He says, Jake, just a normal guy doing abnormally legendary things. Claver. You guys are wild. Thank y'all for all the kind words. It really does mean a lot, and I do appreciate them. And so thank you for all that you've done for the XRP family. Don't forget to give the not financial advice disclaimer. I gave it at the beginning. The other thing that I should say, though, because my attorneys will be angry with me, my opinions are my opinions. They are not the opinions of Digital Ascension Group or its subsidiary, Digital Wealth Partners, which is an SEC-registered RIA. The advisors over there are going to be much more realistic with their planning than I am, right? I talk about my portfolio, my thoughts, my opinions about my investments when I come on here. This is not to dissuade you or persuade you to invest in anything. Again, I would highly encourage you to go over to Digital Wealth Partners and talk to a licensed professional about financial investments. They can tell you what to do and where to put your money. I'm not that guy. Hopefully, that covers the disclaimers there. We're going to roll on down here. I'm just going to go all the way down to the bottom. Let's see here. We're going to scroll up. There's no way, this person says, there's no way on earth that Trump will allow any country to block oil tankers in the Middle East. Let's get real, Jake. Mr. Kinney, I appreciate your input. What I would pose in opposition to your statement would be that, well, I'm going to ask you some rhetorical questions that you're going to know the answer to. Does Trump want the U.S. to be sovereign? Does he want us to make a lot of money off of tariffs to be able to remove income tax? Does he want to make it where we produce things here instead of overseas and we're relying on counterparties? Do you think Trump is a capitalist? I think so. I think all those things. So if he could orchestrate a situation where all those things became more likely, do you think he would do that? Yeah. And I think he's like very intelligent, probably at a very high level, and obviously he has good advisors too. You can think whatever you want about Trump. He says a lot of crazy stuff. I don't necessarily agree with everything he says. He is a businessman, and I hold a lot of respect for him. He's been prolifically successful in business and real estate and a lot of his other endeavors. And I think he carries that into, his position where he's at now. So if he could orchestrate a situation where the U.S. now is not in a situation where if we print more currency or raise interest rates or do things where it would affect the outside world, he would do that, because then that means we would be sovereign. We would be on our own merits. We would be able to charge tariffs to counterparties without the fear that they will stop supplying us with things. It benefits everything. So we need to move away from the petrodollar. The only way that we move away from the petrodollar is other countries start buying and selling oil in their native currency. You're already starting to see this with the BRIC nations. We pulled out of Iran before. If an oil spike is the way to get there, I guarantee you he's going to do it, and he will let it happen. It doesn't even have to be for that long. It just needs to be a spike that causes Japan to panic. They're on a razor's edge. It doesn't even have to last a week. It could come right back down. All it's got to do is push them to aggressively raise interest rates. And then we move to a level playing field rapidly. We see the appreciation of XRP. And then, we see it implemented at scale as a global agnostic asset for people to trade with zero counterparty risk. And then nations truly will be sovereign, and they will compete on their own merits, and they will be able to charge tariffs with counterparties without having to worry about that other stuff. So anyway, I know people think that Trump is the end all be all, Master Chief, runs the world. He's up there. He's got a seat at the table. Putin and Xi are not pushovers, just so you know. And there are much bigger parties at play than the global figureheads that we see on TV also, that actually know what's going on and orchestrate the reality that we live in. So if you understand that, all the world's a stage, and we're watching a movie, in my opinion. And I know the ending. I know the ending of the movie. It's just, I had a hard time piecing together how we got there. I've given you guys the whole plot, if you'll just sit back and watch it here at the end of the year. All right, we got Sarek Prime. He says, Jake Claver, the prophet. I'm not a prophet. He says, fully aligned with the vision. We're going to change the world together. Merry Christmas. I love that part. I do not claim to be a prophet. I have not seen visions. I pray a lot, and I ask for wisdom a lot, but I wasn't shown this in a vision and prophetically told that these things would happen. Um, I listen to people that are smarter than me. Again, told you guys the IQ thing earlier. Like last time I tested, I was like 130. Intelligent, not a genius by any measure. Okay. Uh, Slightly smarter than average. I just think critically about things, and I try not to silo myself in one lane. I try to look at everything at a 30,000-foot view and watch the people that are, again, I hold in extremely high regards, that I think are extremely intelligent, that understand something with complete competence. And that allows me to then pull from each of them the pieces that I think are the most relevant. And also, I have biases, right? And I want to weave my biases into what is happening. And so over the last 2 years, before I put the domino theory out about 18 months ago, that's what I did. I watched all these people and what they were saying, and the government and geopolitics, and that's what led me down the path to, and there's breadcrumbs along the way. It's not like there were other people that laid this out. I've just tried to lay it out in a way that's understandable for the average person. No riddles, no extra fluff for deciphering any of that stuff. So if you want to believe me, awesome. If you don't want to believe me, again, I'm just some guy on the internet that somehow, again, you guys are awesome, want to spend time and watch what I have to say, which is blows me away. It's super humbling. We got over 8,000 people here on YouTube. We've got almost 700 people here on TikTok, and then on the other platforms also. Thank y'all for taking time out and wanting to share the evening with me. I feel like just an average dude with a big dream and a crazy vision, and hopefully that inspires other people to do cool stuff too. If it inspired one person to do cool stuff and go after their dreams, that's all I want. So it's worth all of the mockery and BS and all the other stuff that's out there on a daily basis. But I knew that was part of it when I signed up for it. So is what it is. We are Shade Spot says, we all love you, Jake, but everything has looked ready to rip for 9+ months. We love how excited you make us feel. I can't remember a live of yours where I wasn't convinced the phone was staying so bad. Look, man, people get down. I try to come on here and vibrate at a high frequency and get people excited because I want you to dream, to hope. You need that. Like people that only think about the past or think about bad things, they spiral and their life, that's what they pull toward them also. If you can be in a high vibration and have hope and dreams and live in that state, those things will get pulled into your life. I've watched it happen time and time again on both sides. So I come on here and I am excited because we are in probably, if not the one of the most unique times in human history, with the technological advancements that are about to occur and the changes that are going to happen over the next 5 to 10 years. Rapid advancements in all types of technology, displacement of people in jobs with AI, and the augmentation of your ability to think at a higher level through the use of AI and the tools that will be available. The production level that's going to happen 5 and 10 years from now is going to be substantially higher than the GDP we produce today because of all the tools and things we're going to be able to put in place. So you're living through one of the coolest renaissance and revolutions, really, like that's the only term I can come to for what this is. People talk about the fourth industrial revolution. This is a digital revolution, and you're here and you're positioned and you're going to be able to take advantage of it. Like, I don't know how much more excited you could get than that. So I'm pumped. I love what I do. I get to come on here and again spend time with you guys. I get a ton of fulfillment. We actually get to help people, right? Like when I was young and I went to school for finance, I told y'all got that I had a short stint at Northwestern Mutual. I felt skeezy, like a snake oil salesman. I wanted to help people, but I didn't feel like I had the right to. Nobody wants to listen to a 20-year-old come tell them about how they're going to die soon and they need insurance. Like, that's horrible, right? We organically come into some of those conversations now, but it's through helping people structure it so that their kids are successful, so that their family stuff is protected, so that everything's structured the right way, so that they're mitigating risk of loss and they only have to get rich once. That's cool. Selling insurance just to sell insurance, or like I never, like, even when I worked in industrial sales, everybody was going to buy all the same stuff I sold anyway. It's not like I had to talk you into anything. It was just, can you call me and get better service, and what's the price look like? I didn't get any fulfillment from that. It was cool. I like to deal with people. But outside of that, like, it wasn't great. It was a job, paid the bills. My hope on the other side of this is that so many people that are stuck in that position are able to move into something like I do now. Like, I'm thrilled every single day when I wake up, for the team that we have, for the things that we're doing, for the products we're creating, for the clients that we have. Like, I'm over the moon. I could not have imagined that my life would ever have gotten this great. So I hope that all of you experience that also. I hope that post price appreciation, you can, transition out of your job, not quit immediately, transition out of your job and find what fills you up. Find what, like, lights you up and makes you excited every day to live your life. And then you'll be able to bring the energy, right? I went and saw Pentatonics the other night. Shout out to Kevin for the invite on that. He knows who he is. Beatboxing fool. He's awesome. He can play the electric cello too. Like, if you guys haven't ever seen Pentatonics, highly recommend. Fantastic show. It was incredible. They sing Christmas music, a cappella. It's fantastic. Anyway, went to that. Got to talk to him for a little while backstage, which was cool. And he's kind of the same way. Like, he just feels like a regular dude. But he's, extremely successful at what he's doing. But he's doing it in the Lord's name. Like, he feels excited. He gets up on stage. He's pumped. My wife was like, how do you guys do this back to back to back to back shows night after night and still come up and show up with the same energy? When you love what you do and when you're walking in your highest path, like, what else can you do? Like, you exude it. You know what I mean? So anyway, I wish that for everybody on this, that you find whatever that is in your life that is your highest path and you're able to walk in that. Postmaster 2233, he says, do we see price appreciation on Christ's birthday, or do we see it on New Year's? I'm willing to bet that it's done by the 1st. Merry Christmas. I don't know. I don't know the day. I would love it to be on Christmas. I think that would make people very happy. We do have 2 days this year where markets and stuff shut down. 25th, 26th, 27th, and 28th. It's a very long weekend after Wednesday this week. So hopefully you got your Christmas shopping done. I got my last minute stuff coming for my family, which will be here on Christmas Eve. Cutting it close. Just like a man. I know the wives out there thinking, yeah, you're not wrong. I would love it to be. Christmas isn't really Christ's birthday, by the way. That is the day we celebrate that. Easter's interesting. So, I don't talk about a whole lot of religious stuff on here, but run with me for a second, okay? So the winter solstice, which was yesterday, is the shortest day of the year. The sun actually sits on the horizon and has a pretty similar cadence and length of day for the next 3 days until Christmas, and then it rises again, and the days start to get longer, which coincides with Easter, actually. Christ died, and then 3 days rose again. Interesting to me, like all of the astrology and all of these biblical things that kind of coincide that just make you go, it's odd that would work exactly like that. So, not saying there's a there. Maybe Christmas is supposed to be Easter. I know we celebrate Easter. He has risen in the spring. Makes a lot of sense. Bunnies, all the stuff we do. Pagan holidays. So, just, food for thought on the winter solstice and Christ rising again. So maybe we'll see something come about on Christmas, which would be beautiful. Billy D said, I don't think it will be, though, because I think we need ETF to be launched to be able to drive the supply shock. So I could be wrong. Would love to be wrong, but I do think it'll happen probably during trading day, once BlackRock has launched their ETF to be able to, save the market. Reverse carry trade unwind. Shouldn't we see XRP while others rocket, while XRP's others burn to create FOMO and rotation to XRP? Otherwise, if XRP goes down with everything, what makes capital flow to XRP? I think you're right, Billy. I've said that before, but again, I don't know. I don't know what the volatility looks like, but I'm not playing with a falling knife. I'm just going to continue to dollar cost average when I have excess money. I think this is a fantastic price. If you loved XRP at $3, you definitely love it at $1.90. Buy. Isn't that what Jim says? I need Kramer to come out and say, don't buy XRP. XRP is horrible. I love the inverse Kramer. So if y'all got Jim's number, give him a call, let him know. Stefan S., thank you so much for the super chat. I don't see a question here, but I really do appreciate it. I'm going to open this up over here. And my buddy Mike, I'm sure, will give me the super chats when it makes sense. We are an hour in here, and again, appreciate you guys taking time out with me. I do want to interject for a second. You guys remember this book? Knocking down my coins and stuff. So we wrote this, mainly Max Avery wrote this. He allowed me to co-author it with him. Wealth in Numbers. It's over 400 pages on how to run a Reg D deal here in the U.S. And structure it the right way, and help other people get access to stuff that they might not have access to normally. How to structure that in a legal way for investments, pool capital. We got another book that's going to drop tomorrow. If y'all want to go check it out, it'll be available on Amazon. It is Infinite Banking in Crypto. I will give you the exact title here. I got to log in. Book. That's managing. That's an article I wrote. Anyway, it'll be available on Amazon tomorrow. If you guys want to go leave us a review, Infinite Banking with crypto or digital assets. Really excited about that. We just rolled out our insurance division this year. We've done a bunch of term life policies. I got one on myself that's convertible to a whole life policy to be able to do the infinite banking through traditional insurance. Also got an IUL structured, not for myself, for another individual. And so, with all that said, I'm excited to bring this concept to crypto. The whole premise behind infinite banking is, as an asset appreciates in a tax deferred or tax free way, you're able to leverage loans against that, and that's the way that people will be able to do the same thing with crypto that you're able to do with your insurance policy. Now, the only way it's going to be tax free is if Trump decides that it's tax free to trade between. There you go. This person says infinite banking for crypto investors, the old money strategy to borrow, grow, and your wealth. There is the title there if you guys want to go check it out over here on TikTok. So infinite banking for crypto investors, the old money strategy to borrow, grow, and grow your wealth. And again, it's me and Max Avery. The forward is by Carl von Schwartz, and that will be available for download for free tomorrow. If you guys want to go check it out over there on Amazon and Kindle. And again, we would love your honest feedback and review. It would help us out if it was a good review. But we, just download it. Let us know what you think. We got Carlos. How are you, sir? He says, "Hey, man, from Thailand. Good to see you, brother. Will BlackRock announce the application of XRP ETF before or after the potential spike in oil and carry trade unwinding?" I think it'll be right after. And I don't think it will be an XRP ETF. I think that would give it away. I think that they're going to use their BlackRock ETF. And the majority of that is going to be spot XRP. And then that will obviously show how affiliated BlackRock really is with XRP and the XRPL. I mean, Robbie Mitchnick was the head of digital assets at BlackRock for a period of time, and we know where he came from. He came from Ripple. There's been so many strategic people that have, worked in the public sector and then gone to work at Ripple in the private sector and then gone back to the public sector or moved from Ripple to another private institution. You got to go there and learn the ropes and understand how XRP is going to be used and what that's going to look like over the long term, and how you can implement that, wherever you are strategically going to be placed. And with Rosie Rios on the board, I mean, previous U.S. Treasurer, names on $1.7 trillion physical dollars all around the world. And she talks about the application of XRP and the XRPL almost at every conference that she goes to and speaks at now. So, it's an inevitability. What does Thanos say? I am inevitable. Andre says, with the Clarity Act outlining they would want Ripple to hold 20% of XRP, what do you see them doing? I think that they will gift the escrow to somebody else to manage, or gift it proportionally across multiple bodies for different institutions and countries potentially to manage, or hire authorities like the IMF. And again, I think it'll be the IMF if I'm being fully transparent. Awakening with Annie says, "Hey Jake, advice for low-income people with no financial literacy but discovered XRP and now having invested significantly on an exchange, nervous." Well, if you're on an exchange, I'd highly recommend getting your assets off of an exchange. The downside to that, though, is if, I'm not going to say that you aren't sharp enough to do this, because I don't know you. Some people don't trust themselves, and I've seen a lot of people get scammed. And this is probably a good time to mention this. I'm never going to message you on social media. It's not me. I wish I had time. I don't. If you get a message from somebody that's pretending to be me on any social media profile, it's a scam. I'm never going to ask you for your XRP. I don't work at Digital Wealth Partners. I can't move it in there for you. It's going to come via email from one of our wealth advisors, who is your assigned advisor over there at Digital Wealth Partners. Not going to be me. So anybody that is posing to be me that asks you for your XRP or tries to scam you, please report them. They are a scam. So with that said, for some people, it's better to leave it on an exchange because you know it's there. And if it's an exchange that you don't believe is going to go bankrupt anytime soon, you're probably fine. Now, you could say that about Coinbase. Some of these exchanges are notorious for doing what's in their best interest and not what's in their client's best interest. Okay. So just be aware of that. Coinbase is one of those. They've been better. But in the past, they have done many things that have benefited them and not their clients. Even after being a public company, they didn't want to distribute people's flare. They had to be sued. They're still in a lawsuit over the songbird that they didn't give people. I don't know. I'm not, you go talk to Paul and he'll tell you what's going on over there. I've talked to him a few times over the years, most of the time at CoinAlts. So Paul's their chief legal counsel at Coinbase, if you didn't know. Sit tight, sit on your hands. Probably is the best solution. If you bought it on Uphold or Kraken or Crypto.com, you never know what the future holds. Okay, I have no idea if those exchanges are going to go under, if they're going to get bought, if they're going to steal your XRP or whatever. I don't know. Okay, the only real way to make sure that your stuff is safe is to hold it in a wallet that you own. Okay, so we create FBO accounts for people at Anchorage. It's in your name. It's in institutional custody. That's what we do at Digital Wealth Partners. You can have your own wallet that's a cold wallet. We like Decent for that. Zaman, if you just have XRP, is also cool. Wietse is, the guy that created that. They have started charging people fees on Zaman for larger transactions, and it's like 1% when you send it out of there. It's not my fave. We don't do that at Digital Wealth Partners. I'll tell you that. So anyway, if you're very new and you're green and you don't want to mess it up, because I know a lot of people are scared to move their stuff off an exchange. If it's not that much and it's on a good exchange, probably Uphold. That's probably the place I would buy it. If I was concerned and new and green, I would just buy it on Uphold and leave it there. Because then you can move it to Vault, which they have a Vault wallet, and you can move it off of their exchange straight to that. And then it is in cold storage. You pay like $5 a month, but it's kind of like insurance, right? Like pay for your car insurance and other stuff. This is insurance on your crypto, and especially knowing it's going to be worth as much as it is, that's part of the deal. And most people can afford $5 for that service, which is great, by the way. I'm glad that they did that for people. So that's my 2 cents. I don't know if that was helpful or not, but hopefully it was. Info says, I'm going to give the Mastermind another shot. It was disappointing talking to 3 Jakes and 2 Alexes in seconds, all asking me nonsense. So for those that do join the Mastermind, you can actually change your settings in Discord where you can only receive messages from people in that group. We have a full outline and video in the email you receive when you sign up that tells you how to do all of that. Most people don't read the outline. Most people don't watch the video. I get that. We try to make sure that we mitigate exactly what you experience there to the best of our ability. But it does require a little bit of work on the member side. So I wish I could make it easier. We try to make it as simple as possible and explain everything in detail for the settings that you need to, fix to make sure that that doesn't happen. Post price appreciation, we are going to lock down the Mastermind. There will be no more new people. It will be invite only. and it will be substantially more cost prohibitive for people to participate. People that are in now are locked in at the prices that there are today. On the price side of things, before I forget, because if I don't say it, I'll not, and my team will be mad at me. Two things that are going to happen January 1. One, we are raising the price on the trusts, the living trust that we file for people from $500 to $1,000. We're adding some headcount and doing some extra things that are going to increase our costs, and so we need to raise that. If you do want a living trust for $500 alongside your LLC to manage your digital assets, you have 9 days left. You cannot get a living trust for $500 anywhere. Not a real one. We do a real one. We help assign the assets. We do all the stuff that you're supposed to do to manage it. It is the lowest cost that you will find anywhere for a living trust actually filed in your state by an attorney and done correctly. So if you want access to that, you'll have to, you buy the LLC for $2,000. You can use the code 50OFF50 OFFDAG LLC. That's 50 OFFDAG LLC at digitalfamilyoffice.io, and then you can add on the living trust for $500. There's some other people that I saw the other day talking about similar stuff. They said that, and to their point, not everybody needs an LLC. Not everybody needs a living trust. I think that we're going to experience significant price appreciation in a short period of time, and that's why I tell people if you have somewhere between $50,000 and $80,000 in your total crypto portfolio, I would absolutely set up an LLC today instead of waiting, because I think it's going to be a very rapid appreciation. I don't think it's going to be a slow go like Solana or some of these other ones have been. So that's why I say that amount. Normally, you probably wouldn't need to do that until you're well into the 6 digits. Because of the aggressive price appreciation, I do think that this person's asked, what's the rush to set it up? It's a good question. There's a couple reasons. It depends on where you live, right? So, but if you're domestic here in the US, the gift tax threshold next year is going to be $30 million between you and your spouse. So 15 million apiece. If you're single, you only get 15 million that you can gift out of your taxable estate with no estate tax. Estate tax is 40%. Not good. So structuring things through a trust, structuring things through an LLC, you're going to be able to mitigate probate and the estate taxes as things flow through to the beneficiaries. That's another reason people use life insurance and structure things the right way. This person says 50 to 80K or XRP, $80,000, $50 to $80,000 in total portfolio value. So today that'd be like around 30,000 XRP. If you had 25 to 30,000 XRP, that's the time I would start looking at setting up an LLC for your assets, and where the cost to benefit for $2,000, which we're the cheapest out there doing it the right way. If you want to work with another attorney in Wyoming, you can absolutely do that. If they do the corporate veil service and the annual maintenance and everything else, they're going to be somewhere between $2,500 and $3,000. We do all of that for $2,000. So that's it on the living trust. The living trust is going from $500 to $1,000 on January 1st. So it'll be $3,000 total. If you want that whole package today, it's $2,500. And then we also are moving the maintenance on the LLCs to $1,500. The people that lock in now at $1,000 will stay there. If you go ahead and pay the $1,000 now, your ongoing fee each year will be $1,000. If you wait till next year to re-up, you'll be locked in at the $1,500 rate. Again, we have additional compliance costs and personnel and other stuff in order to be able to provide people the best service at the standard that we want to in the industry. And so that's, part of doing business. Unfortunately, we run on not so big margins now. We've tried to keep this, I try to charge a fair price for an exceptional product is what we try to do. And so, again, you don't have to work with us on this stuff. There are a lot of people out there that do similar things. We've done 8,000 LLCs at this point to manage your digital assets. And the living trusts, we've probably done 1,500 or 2,000 at this point. And then we've done asset protection trusts and other more complex structures for our higher net worth clients. We're probably close to, I don't know, maybe 300 or 400 of those types of trusts that we've done over the past 3 years. So, you know, if you want to work with who I think are the best people, our partners and our group, awesome. We do charge a fair price for that. If you can find it cheaper somewhere else and it's somebody that you like and trust, you can absolutely use them too. I just want people to have access to the information and get structured sooner than later, be proactive rather than reactive. GTO, they say Santa Jake. I wore my hat for you guys Wednesday. How's that? It says, has XRP lost out to the Canton network with DTCC? Merry Christmas to you and yours. No, it has not. So this wasn't filmed, but if you guys watch the video that I did today, it was an interview with Sam Gurr. He's previously at Block Tower. He's a CIO at Monarch Asset Management now. He did work for FINRA at one point in the past alongside, what did he say? NASDA? I don't remember. I can't remember the name of it. You can go look at the description on the video to tell you. Very intelligent, been in capital markets for 35 years. Brilliant. Runs a market neutral strategy and does exceptionally well. I was talking to him about the tokenization of stocks and, you know, real world assets and back-end settlement of the stock market. And there's two different components. So the actual tokenization of the stock market, I do think will happen on Canton Network. Now, could that be on Hedera? Could it be on other ones? Sure. Will each of the exchanges choose a different one to tokenize on as long as they're interoperable with DTCC? Sure. So DTCC made an investment in Canton Network. That doesn't mean that they're going to use it, but it means that they probably want it to be successful and they want some adoption and interoperability with it for whatever they've built. We know that the DTCC has been running back-end settlement and finalized Project Ion back in 2022 that they built with R3. And we know R3, their primary settlement mechanism is XRP because it's the only thing that has clarity here in the US, and in conversations with them, that's what they told me. So you can believe XDC, you can look at Solana, you can believe whatever you want. Back into the stock market is going to be settled by XRP. So no, I am not concerned at all about Canton Network. Tokenization of real world assets. XRPL is for settlement. That's what it's zero counterparty risk, settlement between counterparties. Tokenization of assets, cool, might happen on the XRPL, but it doesn't have, I think it'll happen on side chains or things that are interoperable with the XRPL through bridges like Wormhole, Axelar, Embridge, all these other things that settle back to the XRPL through side chains. So that's my 2 cents. I think all the value ends up flowing through XRP over the long term. That's why I think global markets will be priced in drops. And again, you guys can quote me. That's fine. This person says you are 99.999999% of chances. I'm assuming he means out of chances, but he didn't put out on there. I'll read between the lines for you, my man. We've got Jeremy. He says, does Trump designating Christmas Eve and day after Christmas as a federal holiday have anything to do with your domino theory? Banks closed for 3 days, 4 days. If I'm not mistaken, let me look at my calendar here, my handy dandy calendar. Is it going to pull up? Well, today is the 22nd. Tomorrow is the 23rd, Tuesday. Wednesday is 24th. So Thursday, Friday would be also, closed according to what you just stated there. So Saturday, Sunday. So we got a 4-day weekend here, closing out the year before we have New Year's next week. So it says Redneck Night. I don't know what that's about, but that sounds good. Sounds like Electric Cowboy up in Louisville here in Texas. Satoshi Glitch says, will we be able to cash out after price appreciation, or will there be limits? What are your thoughts on that? Yeah, for sure you'll be able to cash out. They're going to need the XRP. They are going to be happy to pay a premium and take it from you so that they can use it and get the upside on it. There's transactions that happen today for billions of dollars in Bitcoin. You don't think that people are going to be able to transact billions of dollars in XRP, the most ubiquitous and liquid asset in the world? Yeah, for sure. They will cash you out. You're not going to be able to buy back. That's my concern. I don't think it'll be available for people. I think there'll be a premium, just like gold has a spot price and then there's a premium for the physical. This is a bearer asset that has a fixed supply that gets burnt every single day. It's depreciating instead of deflationary. It's deflationary. Like uranium is really the only other thing besides XRP that there's less of every single day. There's even more Bitcoin every single day because more gets mined and put onto the market every single day. So it is inflationary. It's just less and less inflationary over time. Whereas XRP is actually deflationary. There's less of it every single day. So over the long term, I don't think the average person, high net worth individual, I think that like the whole game, and again, we've structured this completely different than all the other institutions and had to like bend the rules to get them to do it the way that we want it done. They all wanted to do omnibus accounts because they were going to do structured products, and that's how you're going to get access to this stuff. They're going to roll up the exchanges. They're going to squeeze all the crypto out of them. They're going to put them in structured products and sell them to their people, through publicly listed and publicly traded stuff or other trusts and different products. The intention was never for retail to be able to hold their stuff in institutional custody. They didn't build it. Nobody has built it. We had to work with Anchorage to get it done the way that we want it done. Because I saw the need in the market and I wanted it done a specific way, and I knew that other people would too. So with all that said, I really don't believe there's going to be much. I don't think that you're going to be able to buy XRP on exchanges. You might be able to get it through the DEX if you know how to use that. You might be able to participate in liquidity pools or other stuff, one-side it or two-side it with like USDC or another stable coin and get access to XRP. You're not going to be able to pull it out. There's just going to be so many ways that it gets locked up as collateral, and whatever's left is going to be used to settle with. And it's not going to be that much. So it's going to be very scarce over the long term. And with 100 billion supply, like that's hard for people to fathom. I get that. But they will absolutely cash you out and happily take your XRP post-price appreciation. Dr. Feelgood, RTC Hopium. I'll take it. I prefer Legend. But I'll take Dr. Feelgood. It says, looks like the reverse carry trade may not happen this year. Do you see anything else to raise price appreciation? No. I mean, it's apparent, right? Like we talked about ETFs. I was on Paul Barron's show and everybody was like, hey, if it's only ETFs, so what do you think you could get to? And I'm like, 10 to 25 bucks maybe. And we haven't even seen that. Like we haven't seen them eat through the OTC desks and the dark pools to even get to the exchanges to drive price yet. We're close. We're closer every day, but we're not quite there yet. So look, like, I don't know how to tell you I'm right without telling you I'm right. And I know that sounds biggity or egotistical. I don't mean it that way at all. I feel very weird. It is surreal for me to have had the confirmations that I've had and come on here and be able to tell this to you guys before it happens. It is wild. So you can believe me or not, results will speak for themselves. But everything I've talked about, it's going to play out. Appreciate everybody on the super chats. We got a couple more here. We got Hot Rod 94 says, Mr. Claver, aka Legend. Appreciate you, man. Lots of buzz on Canton Network. Your thoughts? Again, like, it's cool that the DTCC invested in Canton Networks. I think it's going to be great for, tokenization of real world assets. They raised another $130 million. Like, it's obvious, there's been other things that have raised that much money, like FTX, that have been, crash and burn. But with where things are in the DTC investing in that, I feel pretty confident that it's going to be around, it's going to be used. But I do believe that all of it will settle back through XRP at the end of the day. We got Rocky Mountain Jack. Good to see you, dude. Hope you and your sister are doing well. He says, proud of you, champ. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you and the tea lady and the family. Thank you, man. I appreciate the super chat. Hope you guys are doing well, staying warm up there where you are. And excited for everything to play out here and you guys to be in a lot better spot. Jojo says, legend. Wait for price appreciation so I can take some time off work to spend with our new puppy, 8-week-old Australian Shepherd named Annie. God bless you. I won't go down that rabbit hole. I hadn't thought about what I just thought about in 17 years. Anyway, excited for you. I wish you the best of luck house training that puppy and keeping it from tearing everything up. I hope that you have a lot of land that you can take it out and run around and herd things on, because that type of dog requires a job in most circumstances, and they need the work. Like, they need the exercise. Otherwise, they use that aggression and drive, and it turns into not productive things, like tearing up your sofa. So God bless you. I hope that you can spend a lot of time with the puppy to get it situated and in a groove, doing its job, whatever that might be. XRP Diamond Hand says, good evening, Claver team. Thanks for guiding us in the right direction. Question: if the Clarity Act requires Ripple to sell off 20 billion XRP, how would that affect the upcoming supply shock? Set us back or non-issue? So, they can't because it's in an escrow. There's no way to sell it. It's off market. That's what I'm trying to tell people about market cap. Like, they get $1 billion every month. They only put 300 million onto the market. Next year, it's probably going to get 200 million that they put onto the market each month to sustain price stability and add liquidity as needed when new markets come online. They've got 40, like maybe it's 54 billion in escrow. I don't remember what the total amount of escrow is. It's around 50 billion is what they originally escrowed. I think it's 54 million in circulation. So there must be 46 billion left in escrow. So they can't, it's escrowed. They can't sell it. Now, they can give up control of that wallet to another party. And that's the whole stipulation or speculation behind them transitioning control of the escrow to somebody else. But there's no way that they could liquidate 20 billion XRP and sell that onto the market because it is a structured escrow with time lock releases. And that's how that would work. So I think that there will be oversight by another authority that takes control of that wallet or the wallets that the escrow is released to each month. DZVN 59 says, legend, why is Christmas Eve day and after a national holiday? Oh, is it Christmas Eve or is it the day after Christmas? If it's Christmas Eve, that would be interesting. So Wednesday, Thursday this week is when we have. You guys can tell me. Wake up, Uncle Danny. You guys tell. I'm going to scroll all the way down to the bottom. I'm going to let y'all tell me. Anyway, he says, just had my other hip replaced, ready for my 7th hole-in-one. Dude, I have only ever had one hole-in-one, and you just had your hip replaced, and you've got me by 5 hole-in-ones. I hope I play enough golf. I mean, I've played a lot of golf. I've played a lot of golf in my life. I'm going to get into the long drive thing. I can do it. My swing speed's not as high as it needs to be. I'm at like 128, 129. Ball speed's like 190 to 195. I need to get over 200. I need to get my swing speed up to like 135. And I need, 135, 140 is where the pros on long drive are swinging. And ball speed needs to be over 200. And I got to get the spin down. And I need to get my driver lengthened a little bit. So anyway, I need to play more golf is the solution. And hopefully price appreciation comes and we can go play some golf when your hip's better, man. I would love that. We'll probably do a lot of fundraisers over the long term on the golf course. I think people would come to that. Need to get my ball speed up. Rookie numbers. Yeah, 194 is rookie numbers when it comes to long drive. You need 205, 210, 220. Like there's some guys crushing it out there. The Clarity Act. So I don't remember what the question was now, and now I've lost it. I'm sorry. I got excited about your hip replacement in the golf, my man. See what you do. Get me all hot and bothered with the golf. We got 3 more we got a bunch of super chats here. Mr. Living Legacy helping me out. We already did that one for Postmaster. Got that one. Nick, my dude, good to see you. Dude, that is way too much money. Thank you so much for the super chat. That's incredible, man. Thank you so much. I hope you and your family are doing well. Excited about the boat. I know that this isn't the time of year to be taking that out, but well done on the boat. He says, I appreciate everything you and Max's team have built. I love how you went out there and built several businesses that solved problems for XRP holders. I respect how you speak your mind with no fear. Dinner on me, brother. Thank you, man. I really appreciate that. Look, I'm going to be right or wrong, and I'm going to come out here and say, if I am right, I am not going to gloat. I will tell you that. One of the things that's been really interesting and kind of sad for me, and it probably is for you guys too, you find out who your friends are. People that you thought like had your back and you were cool with aren't. And don't know what I did, but I'm glad I found out now before price appreciation happens. And I hope that you guys, get that luxury. I hope that people show you their cards before price shows up and the money shows up. Because then you're going to know who's real, right? You're going to know who the ride or die is. You're going to know who the real ones were. I don't have a better analogy than or wording than that. I'm sure that there's a better, more articulate way to say that, but I would much rather know now. Right. So I don't know if you guys are going through anything like that where you thought you were cool with some people and that's not the case. But good Lord's always looking out, tells you, who's supposed to be in your life. Some people are in your life for a reason and some people are in your life for a season. So Don't like it. You know, I don't think I have any problems with anybody else, but other people don't like me for whatever reason. And then I don't know what I did. This person says, keep your circle small. You got it, my man. So again, God shows you who's supposed to be there at the right time in your life, and he's good at looking out for you if you're walking with him and praying and doing what you're supposed to be doing. So again, I want everybody to win. I you know, there's so many people that have done so many good things for the community, and I want them to win too. Like I want us to continue to be a force moving forward. Like we saw what we could do in the Ripple lawsuit. We came together, 75,000 people, you know, did the petition, and that was one of the main reasons that the lawsuit was successful, and the SEC lost, and XRP is not a security of Ripple. John Deaton did a fantastic job, you know, putting all that together, being a mesothelioma lawyer and like completely relearning all this stuff on the legal side to be able to represent us in that capacity. Wish him the best of luck in his campaign, by the way. We had him in the Mastermind to come talk the other day, and we do have an event for him in January for his fundraiser up there in, I believe it's in Boston. But anyway, I wish the same for you guys. I hope that you find out before price goes who's there for you and who isn't, and that lets you, you know, prepare yourself accordingly. So God bless you. Appreciate you over here on TikTok. All right, we got a couple more super chats, and then we will wrap it up tonight. We got John. He says, hey Jake, do you think your input and information, oh, we already went over this one. I don't think that it's changed the timeline again. I'm just some dude on the internet. Everything's going to play out irrespective of what I come on here and talk about. Brandon already gave me that one. We ran that one down earlier. Desmo, dude, thank you so much for the gift, by the way. He says, Mr. Claver, hats off to you and the tea lady. Hope you enjoyed the drink. Yeah, really cool, by the way. I've mentioned a couple times on here that I like old fashions. Desmo hooked it up. He says, I have faith in your thesis, but feel the government shutdown may have postponed the need for action this year due to the Clarity Act being postponed. I think it helped. I think that was on purpose. I don't think it delayed anything. I think it's exactly what was supposed to happen so that they could push the Clarity Act out because they knew XRP was going to need to be used, and they wanted it to be the only option here at the end of 2025. It says, regardless, it will happen. I bet you made the bet you made. God, I can't read. Need more tea. The bet you made was very kind of you in order to restore others. You can count on me for 1K XRP towards the bet. Absolutely not, dude. I made that bet. And again, I've been super blessed in my life. You know, 5,000 XRP is a lot of XRP for a lot of people. Again, I've been very blessed. And so the least I can do is help other people. Just like I talked about earlier tonight, there's going to be people in positions that you don't like, you haven't walked in their shoes. You don't know what their life's like. And this may be all the money that they have tied up in this, and then scams took it from them in a bet. I'm not cool with that, man. Those people deserve their XRP back. I've been super blessed. I will lay on the sword for that. So one way or the other, and the bet was scams, those people are going to be made whole. And that was the whole point with that bet. Whether XRP reaches 750 by the end of the year or not, you know, it could easily get to 4 digits if we do see everything transpire here in the last 9 days. Again, like scams is scams. I think scams is a bigger role in this than some people realize. But him being the Grinch and changing his profile picture to that last, you know, couple weeks ago, I think this Christmas the Grinch gives back. That's what I think. So I don't think you're going to have to pitch in for it, my man. I think we're going to take scams on that one, and I hope he really does show up in person. I would love to see who he is when it's all said and done. So we're going to take one more super chat here, then we're going to wrap it up tonight. We got Breaking Seals. They say, "What's good, Jake? Good to see you again." Chris from Australia, down under. What's up, my man? In your opinion, would Swift and others use Quant over XRP? If not, why? Using Quant would make sense. No? Hope you and your family have a Merry Christmas. Appreciate the question, man, and the kind words and the super chat. So Quant is Overledger. Quant actually doesn't settle any value on Overledger. It's used to pay fees for access to the network. Overledger will fill gaps where the underlying networks miss, or there's not enough connectivity between things. So you need interoperability. You got Axelar, you got Wormhole, you got CCIP for Chainlink, you got Flare with its interop and minting of different assets to be able to reflect that value on that chain through the time series oracle. Inbridge, there's a lot of things. Canton networks, all of these need to be interoperable, and there may be gaps where there's missing liquidity for certain things if it can't be routed the right way or it's too cumbersome. So similar to like how Swift has today. Okay, so let's say there's these 5 trusted banks. Okay, there's the one that you're going to send money from. It has a trusted party in Switzerland. They have a trusted party in Turkey, and they have a trusted party in Croatia. Okay, and the money's routed through all those. If you had Overledger and the XRPL would allow just go directly to the end, right? But there may be certain things that people still aren't interoperable for whatever reason, and Overledger will fill gaps, but it won't be the primary settlement mechanism. And again, Quant doesn't settle anything. It's just used to pay fees for access to Overledger. So that's why it won't be used in the same capacity. Well, I said that was the last one, but I got a couple more here. We got Santiago Bosco 6167 says, "Do we need Japan to raise interest rates if the JPY is moving up 2% all on its own?" Yes. If we want it to unwind at scale. So Michael Gade, brilliant, certified financial analyst, CFA, over there on Twitter. I like Michael a lot. He's very sharp. Him and Dario and a few other people think that the Bank of Japan is going to be able to step in and walk it down. I don't think so. I am a cut it and go. But I mean, that's kind of how I live my life too. I'll dive in the deep end. I just jump in on things. If I made a decision, it's what I do. And I think if you walked it down, it's just a slow bleed and you end up with a depression for a period of time, or at least a recession. I would rather just get it over with. I think that they would rather just, drop the hammer, break everything, use the solution, fix it. And to do that, raising interest rates aggressively there in Japan, and it also solves all Japan's problems. It lowers their inflation. Their inflation's higher than the US right now. It allows them to have a sovereign currency and banking system that actually, works and people want to use over there. All that. So, yeah, I think that they absolutely want to raise. This is their way out of the stagflation that they've felt for the past 30 years. This person says, Trump won't let oil drop. I agree with that. I think we need a spike in oil. Even if we saw oil spike to $80 a barrel, it doesn't have to be I actually do have another bet on $100 a barrel this year. I don't know if I'm going to win that one or not, because that is 100% rise in oil from here, or close to it. We really just need a 30 or 40% spike in oil. It doesn't have to be, gangbusters crazy. It just needs to be enough to scare the Bank of Japan where they're going to have to move. And they're already on a razor's edge, like I said. So any day now, all of this plays out. I've been talking about it for 18 months. I'll be glad. You know what I'll be really happy about? I'll be happy when all this does play out. I'm not going to say I told you so. I'm going to be too busy to say I told you so when this plays out. I promise you that. But this person says, hey, you still got super chats. I know I still have super chats, but we're winding it down here. And I got through all the big ones. If I missed your super chat, send them to our social media. My wife will get them for me. And I will start with them next time on Wednesday. And I'll wear my Santa hat for you guys. But yeah, all of this is going to play out here at the end of the year, or very early next year, worst case scenario. And again, that's like 0.0000001% likelihood. I think the next 9 days are going to be gangbusters. And everybody's lives going to change. And it's going to be a fun time. So, there is one more here that I'm going to try to get to. Just because you said something. It says, Mr. Legend, any ideas on 401k rollover? Merry Christmas to you and the tea lady. Thank you. We can absolutely do a 401k rollover there at Digital Wealth Partners. We have traditional assets. So if you want to work with us on that side, you do need at least 50,000 XRP. Or if your total portfolio in crypto and traditional investments are at least $500,000, then we can work with you. So again, if you have an interest in that, you want to work with Digital Wealth Partners, you want an actual advisor that'll tell you what to do with your crypto, provide you lines of credit, institutional custody, access to financial products that only institutions have access to. We're the only people doing that, and democratizing access for high net worth individuals. And if you want to call it retail, you can. But at least $100,000 is our minimum in XRP. It's a little less than that right now. XRP is $1.90. So, but 50,000 XRP. And then we will continue to democratize access over time as the price of XRP appreciates, especially those that are involved in the mastermind. If you want to join the mastermind, again, all you got to do is go to beyondbroke.com, use the code beyondbroke, all capitalized, the number 1, and then MO like Mary Oscar, get you the first month for $20 in social and $90, $10 off there in Carbon One. And again, we're locking it down on the other side of a $10 XRP. So you only have a couple days left here. So with that, and then the last thing, like I mentioned, we are going to raise the prices for the Living Trust to $1,000. If you want to lock that in this year, you got 9 days left. We're moving that to $1,000 on Jan 1. The code to do that and the LLC, all of it for $2,500 is 50 off 50 OFFDAG LLC. That's 50 OFFDAG LLC at digitalfamilyoffice.io. And then also, if you want to go ahead and pay your annual fee of $1,000, that locks you in at that price moving forward. If you wait till next year, it is going to be $1,500 on an ongoing basis. So all those that have paid, you'll be locked in at that price now. Those that want to wait absolutely can, that have set up LLCs with us. But if you do want to lock in that $1,000 annual cost, I would go ahead and get that done before the end of this year. So with that, I'm going to wrap it. Hope you guys have a wonderful evening, a wonderful week. Spend time with your family. Enjoy the holidays. Make wonderful, wonderful memories. And I think, it's going to be a lot of blessings for all of us. So with that, wrap it up. Hope you guys have a wonderful night. We'll see you on the next one.